Alrighty, so here's our overpowered amplification and erosion with Supernova build. I'm running Supernova because I have the bracers, and so the extra procs from Arcane missiles I think outweighs charged up and resonance in this build. Um, what I also wanted to go over gear really quickly. I have the bracers, like I mentioned, the chest. I also have the 2-set from Court of Stars and Arcway. Swarming Plague Hive, an Arcano Crystal for my trinkets. I'm running the Nod Thumb Ring because I feel like on-use trinkets are going to be great in this build. I didn't actually use, what is that trinket Fire Mages use that drops off Il'gynoth. Anyways, something like that would be great in this build. As far as my weapon, the only thing I don't have is the Evocation trait, and so the damage is effectively maxed out outside of that. I'm running with a lot of crit and very low mastery and some haste, but I think that's benefited on live when not using the quickening build, or not using it, what I call cheesing it, and I think that's transferred well to the PTR. Mastery scaling doesn't necessarily go out of control yet. But some of the strengths of the build I just wanted to go over. I feel like the damage increase from Overpowered is just awesome, and any on-use trinkets or rings or necks or anything you can use with this build, it'll greatly benefit because of the stacking damage that you can pile in with Rune of Power and Overpowered with Arcane Power. I also think this is going to be the go-to like padding parsing build, just because of like things that come up immediately. I think of a fight like Elreath where you can pad on the spiders, and you would open and just wait till the spiders pop up, and then you'd pop Rune of Power, Mark of Luneth, and Overpowered, and just spam Arcane Explosion, and you could pad really easily on something like that, or on Il'gynoth. So that'll help with the parses as well as speed kills. I think they'll be using Overpowered because of that quick damage increase, that just there's not enough time in something like that to really get the benefit out of Temporal Flux. As well, I think this will see use in Mythic Plus. The damage numbers and sims and stuff aren't really out. That won't be done really till live, but I think just being able, my immediate thought was the beginning of Maw, if you're running quick lower mythics, you just pull the entire thing up to the first boss and then hero and just pop Overpowered and just obliterate everything. So for stuff like that, it might be different for plus 10s and higher, where you might want more consistent damage of Arcane Orb, and depending on how much damage it actually does deal in comparison. So I think that some of the one thing I noticed, that it was just very slow casts of Arcane Blast, and I think that could hurt us in raid when it comes down to something like in fight like Odin, where you're moving all the time. I feel like that's a downside of the build. If you're on a very turrety fight, like something like Ursoc or an Ethendra, I think that doesn't really hamper you as much. But I do not think mastery and having a lot of mana is a big issue with this build because of the crazy decreased mana cost of that Overpowered gives to Arcane Power. So that's kind of an advantage. And if you have any mana saving or mana generating or extra mana legendaries, I think you'll be able to mostly free cast. I show it at the end of this video, but I think I cast Arcane Blast or Arcane Barrage 6 times, maybe in the whole 4 some odd minutes, because I'm using the bracers. But yeah, it definitely benefits from turreting a lot. Some of the legendaries I see doing really well here is the Shard of the Exodar. I think is just going to be spectacular with this build, to be able to hero 2, possibly even 3 times in a longer fight. every time with Overpowered would just be amazing. And if you pair that with some type of mana saving or generating legendary, I think that will be spectacular. Same with Cephas's. If you can pop off a CC right before you pop Overpowered, that's very circumstantial, but I think that'll have use in Mythic Pluses as well. And then just any of the mana saving or generating legendaries. As far as the relics, you're going to want the Arcane Power, extend how long your Arcane Power is by 1 second. You're definitely going to want to stack 3 if you run this build, or if it becomes what you're wanting. Another huge thing that I missed previously talking about, another great utility of this is going to be something where any raid encounters where you have a damage increase, or any bosses, or if you have a DPS check you need to meet. Some things that come to mind is like Mythic Archimond later in the progression of Hellfire Citadel, where you would do the one Doomfire strat. You really wanted to have everybody single target damage and try to push a damage check in a certain amount of time. And so something like that, this would be great, because so far it's not necessarily under or over tuned so much to where it is the only choice or it's not the best choice. And so having that option to be able to do something like that, or to like do a fight like Gorefiend, where you have a damage increase for a minute, that would be spectacular there as well. So it'd be really great for that. As far as how the build felt, I think it felt really good. It didn't feel as overtuned as when we had Temporal Flux and Overpowered together. That just felt like old Combustion. So I think it's got a lot going for it. It's a good build. And I think they did good with this level 100 talent. But if you enjoyed the video, be sure to subscribe and like the video. That'd really help me out. And add me on Twitter and check out the Discord, where we constantly talk about Arcane Mage for live and PTR. And thanks. We'll see you in the next video.